Welcome back, everybody, to Fly the Coop. I am honored to introduce a second time, nearly 1 year later, Kym Joles. Beautiful Kym Joles, originally from South Africa, a world traveler, a chef, and the owner of Fox and Pantry. Brilliant. And I'm so excited to have you back, Kym. We're going to dive right in because I think you have an amazing story. It's inspirational and insightful, and you are in the midst of an expansion, and I wanted to share with everybody what you're doing right now. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Cari Ann. It's great to be back.
You're so lovely to talk to. People will love just listening to Kym. She's just lovely. So Kym, let's just dive right in. Explain to everybody when you moved to Minnesota, why you moved here, and the inspiration. You came in with your eyes wide open with the vision of this storefront and what you're experientially creating for so many people and your massive growth and success in just one short year.
Do you know, it's funny, it's probably the question I get asked the most is, why did you move to Minnesota? Because we've lived in London and Chicago and Seattle and, all these big cities. And I'm always surprised when people ask me, because most of the people I've met have never left Minnesota. And there's such great family values around the Midwest. And I always say, well, have you ever lived outside of the country? And they're like, no. And everybody seems to move away, always seems to come back. It's got great family values. It's nice and small. So I really love Minnesota for that reason. I really wanted to start a business, and I have always had a vision of the business. And living in a really big city, it almost seems pretty impossible just with, the economics and stuff like that. So about 18 months ago, I bought a building, but it was a gray space, which has got no walls, no floors, no anything. And it was only 1,300 square foot. And I remember saying to my husband, I'm going to do this, 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 and this, and this. And everybody I said was, there's no ways you're going to fit that into a small space. So I spent some time building it out, and we've been now open a year, and we do corporate events, but very, very high class food. In the evenings, we have coffee, pastries, and lunches during the day. And then we do these classes. And of course, we have retail. So there's lots of business streams. The vision and the ethos of the company is very much about bringing people together, especially after COVID. But even before COVID, I felt like we were all fragmented, and we schedule ourselves so much, but we don't do that human connection very well, and stopping and just enjoying each other's time. And I always say to my customers, what I want to create is something like when you used to go to the theater or fly on a plane when you were little, and you were treated really well, and you got dressed up for the occasion, and customer service was just, you were very important as the customer.
Right.
And that is what people love about our business, is they do feel very connected to it. It does feel like the people's business, the community's business. They all feel like they own it, which is kind of special to me, because we've created such a family around what we do. So it's worked really well, and it kind of has taken off much, much bigger than I expected, which is, it didn't take me by surprise, because I knew there was such a need for it. But at the same time, I didn't realize how rapid it was going to be. And so we're a year in, and I got the opportunity to move into the space next to us, which is, to be honest with you, such a blessing. There was a space next to us.
Yeah.
And in that space, we are expanding our kitchen because we're desperate for that. I'm getting an office, which probably is the most exciting thing for me. No more working on the kitchen table. Or in the car with my laptop, but we're creating a cocktail bar and a formal dining room. And the formal dining room will for people that work at home, because there's a big gap in the market where people who work from home, there's so many of them at the moment, don't have a space to be. You know what I mean? They don't have a space to gather, and a lot of places say people aren't allowed laptops, but also for those corporate meetings during the day, smaller classes. So the space will be separated by a glass garage door, and then I can rent out either the formal dining space, the bar, or the current space as well. So it's almost a huge, big revenue stream. So very exciting.
It's beautiful.
It's going to be a very eclectic space. Yeah.
We were in it last night, and it's going to be amazing. You're in such need. The expansion, I thought what was so inspirational about seeing your space now versus a year ago, and how explosive the growth is,
Yeah.
how badly you need more space, and how
Yeah.
like what an opportunity to be able to expand so quickly. But more importantly, this isn't like an easy path. I mean, you're
No.
working, it's gritty. You are working around the clock, 7 days a
Yeah.
week,
Yeah.
sleeping sometimes at the restaurant.
Yeah.
And what I thought inspiring about that is you do this with such joy and commitment and clarity, and really
I
the
think
reality of it, right?
I think though, I don't think I could put 90 hours into a job I didn't enjoy. And
Mhm.
I think for me, and I think I would encourage, and like more than ever, if you have a passion, you have to follow it because it doesn't feel like work. I mean, there are days where it feels like work,
Yeah.
but you haven't got, if you've got that passion behind you, you love what you do, it's just so important. Everything clicks.
Mhm.
And I think that the vision and the clarity is very much around the fact that it feels like you are on the right space in your life and you should be doing what you love.
Absolutely.
Um, it has been hard because, before I started the business, I had a year of planning and a year of architecture and all that kind of stuff and the design side of it. Where now I'm actually running a full-time business, 90 hours a week, and I'm still now almost starting an entirely new business. And
Mhm.
the space is also, it's got no walls, no plumbing, no nothing. So
Yeah.
I'm having to do all the designing and the thought process and everything behind it while running it. So I never, it's a great opportunity, but it is triple the workload. But I'm always up for a challenge. I think if it was a simple business, I would get very bored very
Right.
quickly. So
Yeah.
that's just me. Yeah.
That's what you've always said. What I thought inspirational, whether regardless of who you are, man or woman, wherever you're
Yeah.
at, here, abroad, the motivation and the reason, the why behind my love for what Kym's doing and her story is the true honesty and
Mm.
practicality of what it takes to be a business owner, and the
Well,
commitment and
I, I,
tenacity while being
I, cer-
passionate.
I certainly look at business owners and especially restaurant owners in a different light because, even it's really not easy. We go in as customers, we sit down and we just have no idea how much work it gets just to give that customer the experience.
Mhm.
Um, but it's a very much you've got to love what you do 100%. You really got to love what you do. If you don't love what you do, the restaurant industry is not for you.
Mhm.
So yeah, I've met amazing
Absolutely.
people, sure. Like
Abs-
and I think that's what's really been so exciting about this is meeting people who genuinely want to help you, whether it's the guy who roasts my coffee because we private labeled that, or whether it's the guy where we import wines in from South Africa, these small private farms. It's so exciting to meet these people who are passionate about what they do. And I think that energy and those people have made my business as well as my staff, so it's a very much what you put out is what you get back.
So, as a creative, which you truly are, Kym, you just touched on it and you're just skimming the surface. What
Yeah.
was the inspiration behind each of these relationships you've built out? Many may not realize you've created a retail space, you're bringing a clothing line in, you
Yeah.
are bringing in local artisans, whether they
Yeah.
be in the world of chefing or florist, or I mean, you could go on and on. The list is so long. Is it just popping out of your brain, or what's your inspiration? What drives you every
I
day?
think
And
a lot of it is, I think to myself, what would I want to do on a night off? And
Mhm.
and especially I've got 3 kids and a whole house to run and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes we are just not present in our own lives. So especially the classes or meeting, we've got an amazing woman, Emily Maxon. She wrote a cookbook. She comes and does these food demonstrations. For me, it's something that I would love to do. I don't really want to sit on the couch and watch Netflix. I'm not a TV person,
No.
but I also don't want to go all the time and go and have dinner and a drink. Like it gets boring. So for me, it's like, where can I bring value to someone's life, whether it's in a creative space or a culinary space or just anything. And I think it's worked really well because online, I think it's phenomenal. But when it comes down to tactile things, like we have a chef doing knife skills, a knife skills course, which is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Something you can't learn online.
Mm-hmm.
It's something you got to be present in person. And it's so unbelievable to find the customer stories when you meet them and you're in a small group of 6, say, learning something together. Everybody, we share our lives, and it's in a positive way. It's not in that victimization, oh, this is what happened to me. It's more like, wow, this is who I am. And
Right.
so I've met such an array of very incredible people, which to me has been family. They've become family. And
Yeah.
I've always looked for that because obviously my family is back in South Africa and they've been there for 22 years. But to find it in a foreign space where you always felt a little different, that's totally been eradicated from my life. Like now I just feel like I have so much family and so many people around me that
You
are
do.
valued. Yeah.
What's been, as I've watched you since I've met you when you moved here from Seattle, like last night, because we're both so busy, right? So we just decided to do a random. I dropped in and we hung out in the kitchen and there was an event going on. The networking power and the variety of
Yeah.
people you bring together. Like this was a group, if I recall, of attorneys, maybe judges. It was a really quite an impressive group of
Yeah.
women that come together once a year. And through networking, they learned of you. And now you had one opening because you fill quickly and you do a
Correct, yeah.
variety of different kinds of events. Share with everybody what you've come up with in just one short year, because it's pretty impressive. It's really impressive.
Well, what's so interesting is we've done things from family gatherings to formal dinners with lawyers, formal dinners with VPs of Porsche, Ferrari, Best Buy, Target. I mean, all these amazing companies, which is kind of phenomenal because our marketing we don't spend money on marketing. And I think it's been word of mouth, which I think is the greatest compliment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so bizarre because we'll have a group of 13 kids coming in to learn cake decorating one night.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a woman coming in the next night to do floral design. And then we'll have a corporate dinner. That's 4 courses and we've had to fly food in from Chile. Do you know what I mean? And that for me is so dynamic. And I think it keeps me on my toes and helps me to be creative. I think if we were doing the same thing, because people always ask, what is your business? What are you doing with your business? And I said, I really didn't want to put myself in a box, which I think has attracted a multitude of people. Some people who, only want to come in and have a sandwich, to a person who wants, this extravagant meal. And I love that. I love that we can serve everybody. We have a really good business model where we don't have minimums on food and drink like a lot of companies, which, that's fine for them. But and they can customize the menu. So they sit down and they talk to the chef and they talk to myself and they say, this is what I'd like to eat. There's no like, well, this is what you're going to eat.
Right.
And that customization and personalization is what people look for. I mean, it is their money at the end of the day. For me, I want them to spend it the way they want to spend it. So they have a lot of choice around budget and they have a lot of choice around, and I think that is giving the power back to the customer again. They end up spending a lot of money anyway, but at least they don't feel as if they've had to spend money or this is what it's going to cost. There's a difference in the way this business structure works, and I like it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's full 100, like it's 100% customization.
Yeah.
You're not really driving the event at all. They're coming to you and saying, this is what I was thinking about doing. And they basically craft in their mind, you're creating all of it, but they're crafting their vision and you're implementing the vision and creating this experience. And that is a one-of-a-kind business model.
Yeah, and we do like a lot of baby showers and grooms dinners and stuff like that. And it's very much like we say to them, like, what do you want? And then I'm like, we can organize flowers for you. Like basically we do all the event planning and they just check off a box of the things they want, the color schemes they want, everything. And then they get to walk away and enjoy the event. And I think there's power in that as well, because people don't have time to organize these things. And a lot of people don't enjoy organizing these things. We always think they do, but it can be quite hard work. So we take all of that off their plate and we just run with it. And they walk in and they're like, always amazed.
Mhm.
That's what really speaks volumes is, if you look at our Google reviews, they are really, I think people are always very surprised at the type of event we put on or the class of event we put on. So yeah, it's good for the customer.
So what is your biggest aha moment? I have 3 questions for you, for everybody.
Mhm.
What is your biggest aha moment as a business owner, moving, not only relocating to a new state, but implementing this vision that you've had for so many years? What is the biggest takeaway that you've had in the past year building this?
I would say how much people are actually looking for quality. I didn't realize going into the restaurant business that a lot of people buy in stuff. So you can buy soup in bags, and that's the kind of way all cakes come pre-wrapped, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely not like we make everything so from scratch, and I think people can see it. So I think the quality of food and also the customer service was the biggest aha moment. People wanted to be treated like they are valued, like not just a number in the line or a person sitting at the plate, but we get to know people. And I introduced the meal, for example. Like I started doing that because we were cooking really different things. And now it's what's requested at every event. Like, can you make sure that, Kym introduces the meal and tells everybody a little about her story and that kind of stuff. So there's this weird hosting thing. That's a big aha moment of like how much people are looking for connection and quality. And they can see it when they see it.
You're absolutely right. And I think,
Mhm.
again, you're the only one I know. And from traveling abroad and locally in the Twin Cities, the only one that I know that's doing that, Kym. Uh,
Mhm.
in the past year, what would you say your aha moment would be in terms of the biggest challenge? Building
I think the biggest challenge is finding balance for
Mhm.
myself. Um, Obviously, like I said, I
Yeah.
have a family. Finding balance and not having enough hours in the day because there's so much to do. And I think for me, it is very much once I conquer something, it's like, okay, what else can we do? What else can we do? All our
Mhm.
coffees are crafted actually by our staff. Like they come up with like a sunshine latte, or which is an orange coffee, which sells so well,
That's
and they have the
amazing.
freedom to create things on the menu. But okay, what next? It's so exciting, but having the time to think through that creative process has been challenging because I'm in the kitchen cooking and washing dishes and mopping floors because
Yeah.
that's the kind of boss I want to be. I
Yeah.
feel like one of my staff members actually said to me, there's 2 types of people you can work for, a leader or a boss. And a boss is the person who micromanages and walks away, and a leader is a person who is in there in the trenches. And
Mm.
she said to me, that's what you remind me of. And it was such a big compliment to me because I think that working with people and showing them that you also value what they do by doing it yourself
Right.
is important. Yeah.
That's absolutely critical. That's where you
Mm.
and I have a commonality there when we talk about, running a team and collaboration and camaraderie and all those things,
Yeah.
and allowing people to take the lead, teaching them, how to be able to do that with confidence.
Yeah.
It takes time. We talked about trying to find the right people. It's like a puzzle you're putting together,
Yeah.
people that really want, they will implement if they learn how to, and not making the assumption that that's organically a part of their DNA, but taking the time and slowing our roll to teach. And
Yeah.
it
Very
takes
much.
time. It's time consuming.
Yeah. And I'm not an impatient person with training. I am just very much a person who's like, okay, there it is. I'm going to show you once and I've had
Mhm.
to really learn that some people don't learn like that.
Yeah, I
So I
know.
have to slow myself down and be like, okay, what is it you're not getting? Because I just go, I say yes and figure it out later, which is
Yeah,
sometimes can get me into trouble,
I
which is
know.
um,
It's a true thing. Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing too, because I always say that's how I learn. That's how we learn. We learn from the people that we're teaching, and they teach us how to teach them.
correct,
That's how
correct.
it works, right?
Or it's like parenting as well, right? Yeah.
Would you agree that actually employing right now has been finding people to be part of the team the way you'd like to see that happen is required a little bit more slowing your role to find that fit, like in the new
Well,
ecosystem of finding people?
especially in the kitchen industry, it's really hard because it is hard on your body. I mean, it's a very physical role. You're on your feet for like 16 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the most amazing staff ever. And I have a lot of them that don't want to leave, which is great too. But I also know that some of them need to go and sort of experience the world a bit more, get a corporate job and that kind of stuff, because then
Yeah.
they'll realize doing the thing that they love, they'll be inspired.
Mm-hmm.
And it is interesting. I have an employee that just left me because she wanted a corporate job, and she's meeting me at the shop today with her new boss. And she was like, "I'm just so excited to share the business, and I was so excited for them to meet you. And like, can you come in?" And she's like, because she's like, "I miss this so much," but I've told her she's not allowed to come back for a couple of years because she needs to go and learn what a different environment is,
Right.
but it's lovely to see how much they've loved working in this space, a very positive space. We give out a lot of great energy. People
Yeah.
always comment on that. But staffing is challenging. It really is. And it's finding people who have the same vision as I have. Not the same, but they can see it. And once they see it, then they're on board. But yeah, I mean, we have a lot of people who just don't come to interviews, which I've been surprised about. We put a job out, we get 4 interviews, and then 3 people just don't come. So, which is just not something I did or we did in our generation. So maybe it's just I'm getting older. And I'm like,
Yeah, I think the world's just changed that
yeah,
way. It's acknowledging the change and working with it, right?
yeah.
I think that's really what's happening right now. So then the last question I have for you is, what are you the most just thrilled with? Like fill your soul, the happiest thing that's happened in all of this for you, that just filled your soul and heart, that this is driving the entire future of this. And what does that look like? Like, what does the 5-year and 10-year plan look like for Kym Joles?
Well, I think the thing that really drives me is how well people have responded to it, and how people love my business. Like, people just love my business and they're fascinated by it. Like, that to me is the biggest compliment. It's not how much money you make, or that. It's very, very, very much like watching people connect, or even watching them have a glass of wine and someone's crying because they're going through a hard time. But it's that human connection, and watching people come together and actually use this as a space that they feel safe, and that they are enjoying, and it's an experience, and that to me is amazing. Like, just watching it organically happen, the connection, it makes me feel like my job has been to do that and to kind of create that, and I feel like I've done it. So that's a huge success to me, I would say. Next 10 years, I would say we're definitely going to plan on this expansion, and then I'm going to kind of get grounded for 2 years, and then I have lots of other ideas about where we're going to go in the future. I don't want to franchise, but I do know there's a need for this kind of thing. So in other places, so I would like to replicate that, but not in the places I would say like Orno was Zeta, they wealthy, affluent places. I would like to move out more to like Duluth and Bloomington and places where they don't have anything. Because one thing I would say about corporate America is you go through these towns and there's just, this shop and that shop, and it's like a stamp. But imagine if we could put in something kind of cool that made them feel they were special too. I think it would work really well. So I've definitely got lots of plans, and definitely will never stop planning. That's one thing for sure. But I want to get what we have right now, you know what I mean, the next phase, and then we'll move on to that.
Well, I am just so excited for you, Kym, and so proud of you. And it's been an absolute honor to watch this unfold like a flower. You're a flower. It's pretty impressive.
Some days I feel like a weed, but anyway,
No.
thank you.
I think all of us feel like that sometimes, but at the end, we have to focus on our flower.
Yes, we are.
All right, everybody, Kym Joles, we're going to link up all of her handles. You've got to check this out. It's brilliant, beautiful, inspirational, and admirable. Thank you so much, Kym, for being with us today. I know you're busy, taking a little time out to share the growth and the success you're having. Kym Joles, thank you. Have a beautiful, beautiful day.
Thanks, Cari Ann. You too. Thanks for having me on again.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Thank you.